Hello, everyone. Today I'm talking to David Burtyn of Ruckify. Ruckify is a relatively new company, I think since 2018, who are, for your possessions, your property, for anything that you might want to make use of, the Airbnb of that property, of that market. I think that's about right, but hey, I don't want to guesstimate. David, over to you. Tell us all about yourself and Ruckify and how long you've been in business.
Thank you for the introduction. So Ruckify is a rent anything marketplace. So like you said, think Airbnb, but for stuff. So we help people rent out items that they already own. They got a garage full of tools and equipment. You got, that set of golf clubs collecting dust. You got stuff in the attic, stuff in the backyard, like canoes, kayaks, barbecues, anything like that sitting around. We can actually help you rent it out to other members of the community. You get to make some money and also help someone save some money, as opposed to them just going out and buying something brand new they're only going to use once or twice. So that's the idea.
Well, I've had quite a bit of fun looking through your website, particularly what's going on here in Vancouver to see. And I was astounded to see that people are renting out books. And I know I asked you about this, and I said, well, why wouldn't someone go to a library? And you explained how libraries are shut. But you can rent, I can say buy, you can rent anything from a spoon all the way through to a tent, a venue. That's about right, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. We really do pride ourselves on, really being what we say we are, which is the rent anything marketplace. So, books became popular during COVID because the libraries were shut. So people had to, they still want to read and they still want to be engaged with things. So it's a great way for them to do that.
It's almost like you're the illicit love child of eBay and Airbnb. Uh, but who created Ruckify? There's a story there as well, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. So our co-founders are Steve Cody. He's been in the rental industry for 25 years, and Bruce Linton. So if you're familiar with Bruce, he started a little company called Canopy Growth out of Smith Falls, brought it to a $20 billion cannabis giant. Steve knows everything about the rental industry. Bruce knows everything about building a successful company. So together they've kind of formed Ruckify. It's essentially how that happened. They're actually neighbors in Barhaven, which is a subdivision just outside of Ottawa. A tree fell in Steve's yard. He didn't have the proper chainsaw to get the job done to cut up the wood. So they were thinking, someone in the neighborhood has a chainsaw. We should know about that. And instead of going to buy one for, $600, shouldn't we know if someone has one that we could rent for $20 or $30? So the idea of Ruckify started from that. So.
Oh, wonderful. When needs must. So talking of needs, the big elephant in the room for almost every business right now has been COVID-19, and the impact it has been and is continuing to have on so many businesses. How has this impacted Ruckify?
Yeah. So, I mean, when COVID started, 40% of our business was parties and events. Overnight, no parties and events. They're all canceled. They all became illegal. So we had to sit down and think of how we can get more involved. How can we still do what we do? How can we still help people? And how can we still provide value? We started immediately thinking about it. And one thing that came up was, well, fitness centers. Fitness centers were closed indefinitely, not collecting any revenue because they had paused all their membership fees. So why not help them get their fitness equipment rented out to people that also still want to still work out and still remain active, but also social distance? So we started partnering with fitness centers to get their equipment out to people in the community. That became, well, people now are obviously still working from home. So it became people renting out desks and second monitors and chairs. And then it's like, well, the whole family's home and we got to keep the kids busy. So it became board games and books and that sort of thing. And then it's like, well, what do we do on the weekends we want to still do something as a family. So that became, projectors and screens and that sort of thing for people to do home movie nights. It's really interesting to see the kind of evolution of the products that were throughout COVID. And now obviously we're on the other side. People can actually go outside and do things. So it's like anything to get anybody outside. So it's canoes, kayaks, paddleboards, all that sort of thing. So it's been very interesting to kind of see that evolution. So we've been fortunate to be able to still do what we do and still help people. So.
That's fascinating. And I know I've touched on this with you previously. This change of direction or pivot, was this something that was a conscious decision, or was it something that's an evolution that Ruckify was always going to move into that space?
Yeah, so we've always been the rent anything marketplace. It just kind of happened where a lot of the things that were getting rented, because there is so many parties and events before, that was a large portion of what we were doing. But now, because of COVID, people are looking at what else we have and what else we can do. And we did make a conscious decision, at the beginning of COVID to kind of, not just sit by like, oh, what are we going to do? It's like, okay, how can we still do what we do? How can we still get involved? And how can we still help people? And that's kind of where the conscious decision to start going after fitness centers and seeing how we can get more involved in that way.
Okay, cool. So your target audience, your ideal customer, my illusion is that there are two really. There is the people who will have a need for a product or service that they're going to rent from Ruckify, but on the other side, it's those that have product, service, or things in their home or in their business that they want to monetize rather than just gathering dust. How has your target market then evolved, or are there other areas that we should be talking about too?
Yeah, so there's always two sides of what we do. So there's the supply side, so the people with the items, and then demand that the people are going to want to rent those items. So we are in a very unique position to do and help a lot of people, whether you're an individual up into a business, because if you have items sitting around, why not put them up on Ruckify and start making some money? I mean, and especially in a time like this, a lot of people have been hurting, and there's a lot of people looking at different ways to make more money and to monetize things, and to the side hustle is now becoming very much prominent, especially during COVID and after COVID, people really are looking for ways to do this. So if you have items sitting around, that's exactly who we want. Get them up there. If they're just sitting there, why not have them up on Ruckify? It doesn't cost anything to put them up there. It doesn't, there's no membership fee or anything like that. So yeah, get them up, and you can potentially re-renting them out to people. And then also on the other side is the people that still want to do, you may be suffering or hurting from lack of income or anything like that during COVID. So but still want to get out and still want to have fun and still want to do things with the family. So that becomes, well, instead of going out and buying a paddle board for $500 to $700, you could rent one. If you're only going to use it a couple times, you could rent one a couple times, for $40 and $50. So you're able to save some money. You're able to still do the things that you do, and still have fun with your family and friends. So that's kind of where we see it. And like, wouldn't it make more sense now, as communities are growing and we want to get more involved like that, is wouldn't it make more sense to instead of going to somewhere and buying something brand new, rent it from your neighbor? You're going to save some money, and you're going to help them make some money in a time where everybody kind of needs that. So
That's pretty awesome. It sounds very much, stealing a phrase from the city, you are the market makers, because this isn't something that really exists elsewhere, is it?
yeah, that was one of the things too that with Bruce and Steve, where they really thought about marketplaces when they were starting, and that there is marketplaces for, maybe there's one for cars, maybe there's one for RVs, or specifically tools, and like just different vertical markets, but there's not one that's rent anything, right? So they had made the decision, they had thought, this is where it's going to go, so let's get the jump on it. And it's been good.
Oh, wow. Oh, look, I'm grateful to be able to share this now with you in such the dynamics part of your growth. So here's an interesting question, though, if you don't mind me proposing it to you. It's been said that smart people learn from their mistakes, but wise people learn from the mistakes of others. So to help those entrepreneurs and others who are listening, what mistakes have you and Ruckify made along the way that we can all learn from?
Well, I think, like, as a company, and this, stems from Steve leading us as a CEO. It's maybe we make mistakes, but don't really call them mistakes. It's we learn, right? It's where everything that we're doing, a lot of most of the stuff is we're doing it for the first time. So no one's done this before. So it's not that there's a wrong answer. We're always figuring out and growing forward and learning as we go. So Steve always says, he wants drivers, not passengers. So, don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. And, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We move on, we move forward. And, don't get stuck in the failures, because it's not really a failure, it's learning, right? So you're learning, you're always growing, you're always evolving.
Okay, I'm going to rephrase it. I'm not looking to embarrass you or to wash your dirty linen, but then what's been the greatest learning for you personally?
For me personally, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. So it's exactly doing what I'm doing right now. Having conversations like this, having interviews like this, talking to as many people as possible. For me, there's no such thing as a bad conversation about Ruckify, because the more people that I can talk to, the more people we can educate, and the more people we can help. So that's really what I've learned.
Well, I'm going to tell you now, your passion for it is definitely coming across. So keep doing more of what you're already doing. So what's the best way people can get in touch with you? Is there email, website, directly on the phone? What is the best way of engaging with Ruckify?
Yeah, so it's ruckify.com is the website. I'll share with you my phone number and my email as well, so you can post that with this. But don't be afraid to give me a call. Don't be afraid to send me an email. Like I said, I'm happy to talk to anyone. There is no such thing as a bad conversation about Ruckify. So, but check us out on the website. I'll share a referral link as well, which essentially one of the things I wanted to talk about was our referral program that we have. So there's a link that you can use to sign up, which basically gifts you 35 free Ruck Bucks, which is our internal currency, like Canadian Tire money. So you can use that towards your first rental on the site. So you're essentially getting something for free or at a severely discounted price to try it out. And I would say sign up, let us know what you think, rent something, try it, post a few things. We also reward people for being active on Ruckify. So every time you post an item, you get 5 Ruck Bucks, and every time you review another poster, you get or a renter, you get 5 Ruck Bucks as well. So we want to encourage people to stay active and create that community and be involved at all times.
That's amazing. So thanks for that, and thanks for sharing that. I will definitely make sure that everybody who watches this has the opportunity of using those links for you. Okay, last question, if you don't mind. Tell me, what's been the most inspiring thing for you today?
The most inspiring thing, I think, is just, we made a decision to go to remote working at the very, very beginning of COVID. And for me, as a very social person, the first 2 weeks I was like, this is not what I'm used to. I need to be around people. I need to feed off that energy. But we as a company, have been able to come together, and just the inspiration from everybody else doing their job, and the open lines of communication has just been, you want to get up and you want to do everything you can to do to make not only yourself but the company successful every day. So I think just being involved in this company and just the energy that I get from it, that's like my inspiration. That was keeps me going every day.
Oh, I really appreciate you taking the time to share with us and for everybody who's watching today. Thank you, David, and best of luck with Ruckify. I know it's going to change the marketplace. Well, let's rephrase that. It's going to create the marketplace that changes the others. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.